Awesome. So tell us who you are and why you started homeschooling.
We are the Kendalls. I'm Lisett. This is Neka and Nadal. We started homeschooling because of Neka.
Mm-hmm.
We just decided that school was not socially fun anymore, and we had to come full circle with some mental health and just feeling good issues.
Mm-hmm.
And then we discovered that schooling was letting some of the education slip through. Some of the things weren't sticking, some foundational stuff. So we changed and we haven't looked back.
You found it's been the best decision for your lives?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Nadal refused to. And I said, we'll try it for just a term and we'll see how you go. Thinking what I'll do is I'll load him up with heaps of work so he'll want to go to school. And he didn't. He loved it. So we just realistically took it back to some fun stuff and some learning stuff. And then just finding what it is that they liked, also how they learn, because they both learn very differently, as you know.
Yeah.
Individuals, that's what we, What do you think? Is that about right?
Yeah. Definitely.
What have you found most positive for you, Neka?
Just knowing how to do things and not having like peer pressure.
Yeah.
On knowing how to do things.
Yeah, I know that Key went through the same things with some issues. That's why we started, was because of bullying and the segregation and just not being able to feel like he fitted in. And that was really hurting his mind and his heart. So we started homeschooling because he was brave enough to say he didn't want to go back anymore. And you've got to be brave enough to step up and make those decisions and shout out loud so someone can listen. Yeah.
Yep, 100%. And it was very much a, let's give this a go. And when we did realise that the education, because we moved from state to state, I did forget to say that we are a defence family, and moving from state to state every 2 or 3 years became difficult. It works for a lot of families, but I guess you need to have, the foundations laid and a very confident ability to work hard and to strive and to be quite a high achiever. And when you're more of the artistic, and that can let slide. So as a homeschooling defence family, it's been the best decision, because the home education is the hub, and it's where we draw all our strengths from, and then we go out and find the social things. So I think school as an institution is seen as the social element, and that's where you get everything. So we do it backwards, don't we? So we move around, and we know that all of our learning comes along with us, and finding a new school off the agenda is one less thing for me to do.
Yeah. It's so transient, you can take it with you. Did you find, you've been to school, do you find the difference now with the home learning versus being to school, that learning starts when you start your day and ends when you finish your day versus just when you're at school?
Yes.
So, yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, and it's okay to have the leftover stuff, depending on the age and what it is that we're achieving. Leftover stuff can often be where most of the work is done, I'm finding. And it changes, doesn't it? That's the beautiful thing about it, changing with the flow. But when there is extra stuff to do, it can often go on for a few hours. Or I'm like, are you still going with that? What's going on?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
That's when we know it comes from the heart. They're attached to something that they can relate to and they're interested in.
Yeah. When we first started, Key and Jess, I asked them what they wanted to learn about, and they started learning about some things in the sea, and the news came on. I said to the boys, oh my goodness, it's 7 o'clock. And they were still wanting to learn more. They're like, we don't want to stop, Mum. It was just awesome.
There is no, 9 to 5, around 9 to 3 wrapped around it. And the freedom is probably, well, my favourite bit, but also because I guess it's social social gatherings for you guys, but the freedom around that is undeniably top shelf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you love most about the socializing?
Who wants to go first?
Probably meeting a lot more friends. Because when you're at school, it's when you just do schoolwork and stuff, so you don't really get to socialize as much as homeschooling.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking about someone that has not been to school, maybe you mean the classroom.
Yeah.
You've got a classroom of mates, and whereas what's different about your friends that you meet and socialize with?
That we share the same interests.
Yeah, interest based. Yeah, big time.
Where it's like we're both like doing the same things, and that's great. Sending you to meet them, and you already have common ground.
Yeah.
Where at school, it's like, you know,
We're the same age. We're in the same class.
Yeah.
You've got lots of friends that are different ages, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you? What's your favourite social life?
Meeting like-minded people.
Yeah. That's a good one. I love that. Well, I just want for everyone out there, because there's so many, and I know how much it changed our lives to start this process, is just it's so important that they actually get a bit of a feel of what it is, because we've spent so much time indoors that the homeschooling community is so tight-knit, and it doesn't matter where you're here or the other side of the world.
Yeah.
Everyone has very similar views that we're all about community and supporting one another. And if you need information, then you just put something out there and you'll get dozens of replies. Yeah. It's just
communication, sharing is, there's not that just the four walls. There's not just the certain curriculum that surrounds things. I know there's a lot of different styles, and we all borrow maybe, or we're quite rigid and we stick to that. But I think the big thing about homeschooling outside of that COVID containment is having the freedom to say, I'm actually going to take this in my own hands. I'm not have to stick to what someone is feeding me through. And even though they have some things in process, and if a second wave comes through, some of those families are maybe still putting pieces back together from the original round. And a second wave is maybe going to encourage them to take it into their own hands and to say, here's what's happening for my family and why I'm going to do this. And then the joy comes in for the parents too, because that stress on a parent that said, you now have to do this and you have no idea. And we know how many resources are out there and how overwhelming it can be when you first put your toe in.
Yeah.
For them to say, I'm going to have a little look now and not beat themselves up about it, you know, to grab a book, let's say, and then start a project that way, or one subject, or like you did, the ocean, and you just start step by step. I'm hoping that families will come together and their relationships will become tighter and more peaceful, because their education is not a pressure, it's a joy.
Yes. Hallelujah to that. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well said.
It is hard. It is very, very hard. And we all know that we spoke to parents that were going through what they were going through, where they weren't homeschooling yet, and that was the biggest pressure. They're like, I don't know how you do this all the time. It's kind of like, well, this isn't what we do. We chose it. It wasn't forced upon us. We had time to research and I decode what school had created, and it's got to be a slow personal process. So I think the COVID lockdown, incredibly difficult. So fingers crossed everybody's starting to see the positive side to it, the light, the loveliness of it, the relationship building.